Well, the motor already fell out. Looks like I'm going to have to clean off this area a little bit. I just wiped this area down. It was just dust, accumulated dust, but boy, this motor sure looks grungy. Here's the replacement motor. And what I did notice is the shaft is larger. So I took a look at the fan blade, and it does have a larger hole for this shaft. And one of the things that they recommend doing is drilling a hole in the side of the chassis to reach this set screw. So I'll probably do that after I unsolder this motor off of here. Okay, I looked at the instructions for replacing the fan, and it said to drill a hole 5 3/4 inches from the back of the chassis, which I measured it up 3/16 of an inch from the bottom, and it's a 1/4 inch hole. So I'm gonna use a center punch here and drill a hole. I'm gonna start with a smaller drill bit. And then I'm going to jump up to the 1/4 inch drill bit. I'm using a countersink here that's just in a hand chuck, or a chuck that's off of a drill, just to deburr the edge of this hole on the outside so it looks nice and neat and clean. That looks good. And the instructions indicate that the old motor should just be cut off near the motor, and I've already done that and removed it. And they have all these other parts, new grommets and so forth, so I'll see how those get installed later on in the instructions here. Reading in the instructions, to remove the old fan blade, they recommended just bending the blades up until you found the set screw, which earlier I discussed using a mirror and finding it underneath, which is a little more difficult. They recommend removing these old grommets and cleaning up any residue, so I'll do that next. I can tell these grommets are a little bit dried out. They're not totally bad, but they're cracking a little bit as I push them out. Install the new rubber grommets. Yeah, these are much more pliable than the originals. The instructions weren't quite clear. If you look at this motor, the mounting holes are about here, and these screws are too long to put this shaft through. They'll hit the chassis. But he did provide some blocks, some spacer blocks, and some other screws to replace these screws. So I'll replace these screws with the shorter ones he provided in the kit. So it doesn't interfere with the chassis. And then also install the spacer blocks, which should now then line up. Here's the screw that is the right length. Now it no longer protrudes past this shaft. Excuse me. He also provided these spacer blocks that'll bring it up to the height where those rubber grommets can press against this and then screw into this hole here. Provided 4 screws to hook into these spacers. And it looks like they can only be installed one way. Okay, now It should fit with new rubber grommets. He also provided some little shoulder screws that, washers that fit in the rubber grommets. Let's go ahead and install the new fan blade. And he provided an Allen wrench to tighten the set screw on the fan blade. Okay, the blade's installed and it seems to rotate freely. Next is to hook up the wiring in the back, and he's provided just a couple of twist nuts to do that. Gone ahead and stripped the 2 power leads for the motor from the old wiring, and I'm going to clip off a little bit extra, but I'm still going to leave some extra wire in here just in case it's needed in the future. And I think I'm going to solder these on rather than using those twist nuts, and put some heat shrink on there. It'll just be a little better. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and solder these motor wires on rather than use the wire nuts that were supplied. And I think I'm going to use a couple wire ties here just to tidy things up a little bit. Okay, that should complete that. I wanted to give you another shot here of what it looks like now that the new power supply module board is in there and the new fan and tubes are installed. I've kind of cleaned it up. I put a little bit of black spray paint on the transformer, cleaned up the face a little bit, and I'm going to clean up the case and put it on and try it out. I still have the soft start module to install, so I'll do that after I try it out again.